have Defendant's Exhibit 4 here.
Uh-huh.
Which number interrogatory are we referring to?
Oh, which number out of the questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on. It is number 20, 24, 25, 26, basically. All of them.
Have a number 24.
Oh, this one. It's supposed to be number. I guess they're all numbered 1, so. Number one again, and then the third number 1.
That's your page number or something.
He didn't put page numbers on. He didn't put any on the file. I don't know how to tell you what number 1, because when you've responded, you put number 1 on all of them.
You just point to it.
This one I'm talking about, this number 1, where it's tabbed. There's 2 number 1s that are tabbed.
Okay.
And there's no page number, but it is the second page.
All right.
They're asking if you have any receipts for restaurants, hotels, bars, things like that.
The first number 1?
I believe it's the second number 1.
The second number 1? Okay.
Okay. So it asks you if you have any receipts for things like restaurants, bars, hotels, things like that, where you accompanied a member of the other sex romantic partner. Correct?
It says identify any and all occasions.
Okay. And so, let's go through it. Let it go. It says to identify any and all occasions where you entertained a member of the other sex, okay, who's not related to blood, and including dining, drinking, restaurants, bars, pubs, hotels, all of that. Okay. And what was your answer to that?
None.
None. Okay. So May 30th, 2023, you prepared this document,
I did.
submitted it,
I did.
and it says none as far as entertaining a member of the opposite sex.
It does.
Okay. No hotels, no bars, no restaurants.
Correct.
Okay. You again updated that. Let's see. You updated it on December 22nd, 2023. And I'm going to mark that as defendant's number 5, and I have copies. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then you updated it once again on January 26th, 2024, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There's that one. May I approach the witness again, Judge?
Is that what you're marking as Defense Exhibit 6?
Yes, Judge. I'm marking number 6 is the January 26th, 2024 interrogatory, and then that one. And then number 5 is the December 22nd, 2023 interrogatory response.
All right. Are you tendering those at this time?
Yes, I am.
All right. Any objection from any counsel to Defense Exhibit 5 and 6?
Yes, Judge. No objection.
Thank you, Ms. Cross. Seeing none others.
Lovely. I have tabs for you. So now that you have those, let's just talk about those for a minute. Those were verified, so sworn under oath.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And one of them was December 22nd, and then of this last year, so last December, and then one was just recently submitted in January, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In May 10th, 2023, Judge Thompson heard a motion to compel in your divorce case as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you were actually held in called willful contempt.
Yeah, I'm going to object to the relevance of
Ms. Merchant.
His credibility is relevant, Judge, and if he was held in willful contempt for failing to provide answers and documents, I think that's relevant to this court.
How is that a prior false act or crime of conviction or anything else allowed for impeachment under the rules of evidence?
I'm not offering it as a prior bad act or something like that. I'm offering it towards his credibility, Judge, which you get to determine. If he's made misrepresentations in these pleadings, you're here to determine whether or not he's telling the truth or not. So if another court has held him in contempt and that's part of the divorce proceeding, I think it's relevant.
But just contempt generally can be for many different things. Like but a failure to produce is not necessarily a false act, right?
Right, and he's welcome to explain that.
He may not have to. Ms. Cross.
I object to the relevance of that. That's clearly not a proper impeachment. We're going pretty far afield into divorce matters that don't have any direct relevance to anything that's pending before the court. I object to the relevance of that and need further
All right. I'm not seeing that being a proper grounds for impeachment. It's sustained.
Okay, let's talk about this December 22nd, 2023 verification. I tabbed it for you. Again, they asked you if you had any documentations showing proof of this relationship, proof of any relationship, correct?
I'm going to object to the phrasing of that question. I don't believe that's an accurate read of the interrogatory.
All right. Let's be precise, Ms. Merchant.
And you, please read it. I want to make sure I'm accurate. Please read it.
Which number?
This one actually has a number. I tabbed it for you, so you should be able to open right to the page. It's number 22. The question specifically is if you have any tangible evidence of any nature in your possession or control or any other person or entity which relates to any manner of your activities to any person with whom you've had a sexual relationship during your marriage. Tangible evidence is notes, cards, letters, photos, films, recordings, documents, tapes, video recordings, receipts, invoices, and other tangible evidence.
Yes.
Okay. And you answered that you did not have any documents to that effect, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that was on December 22nd, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
You updated those responses again after the motion to disqualify was filed, though, correct?
When was the motion filed?
January 8th, 2024, when I filed the motion to disqualify you and alleged that you had a romantic relationship with Miss Willis.
Yes, ma'am.
After that, you updated these responses, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so your new responses, you now changed your answer from that you didn't have any of this to you're asserting the privilege under 24-5-505, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And both of these are under oath.
Yes, ma'am.
You also updated your response to the question about spending time with someone other than your spouse for dinner, drinks, things at restaurants, bars, hotels, or the other person's home, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So in December of 2023, you said no to all that, and then in January, after I filed my motion, you said privilege to all that, Fifth Amendment privilege.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And just to be clear, was it...
Sorry, I'm going to object the characterization of Fifth Amendment privilege. I think it was a statutory privilege, and that's quite different.
That's what I was just about to ask him. So that privilege covers infamy or Fifth Amendment privilege, correct?
So it was a privacy privilege is what I updated my response to do. Once you filed your motion to intervene in my divorce action, I then figured that you were in talks with my former wife's divorce lawyer.
Okay.
And because of that, I asserted a privacy privilege because I didn't want the proceedings of my divorce to bleed over into the proceedings in this case, which is the case that obviously you're involved in.
So your answers in December of 2023 that you didn't have any documents about any travel that you took with Miss Willis, that wasn't true though, correct?
They didn't ask me about any documents regarding Miss Willis.
A romantic partner. They asked you for documents regarding a romantic partner. So I'm sorry, I inserted Miss Willis's name. Let me rephrase the question. They asked you for documents about travel with a romantic partner in December 2023. And you under oath said you did not have any of those, correct?
I did not.
Okay.
And they asked me about gifts.
Right.
I've never purchased a gift for Miss Willis.
And they asked you about receipts for dinner, receipts for drinks, hotels, bars, and restaurants. And you said you did not have any of those.
I did not and do not have any receipts for any of those things.
Okay. And part of the civil discovery, they say that even if you don't have it in your pocket, if it's within your purview, you got to get it and give it to them, correct?
Your Honor, I'm going to object again to the relevance of the questions about the scope of civil discovery. I think she's asked him about statements he made in pleadings. The answers are already in the record. And
all right, to the extent you're trying to establish a prior mistruth, Ms. Merchant, I'll allow you to ask a few more follow-ups, but if it's not there, we have to move on.
Thank you. So in 2023, December, you said you didn't have any receipts.
I do not have any receipts. I did not have any receipts.
But you did travel with Miss Willis in 2023, correct?
I did.
And you traveled with her in 2022, correct?
I did.
And you traveled with her in 2021, correct?
No.
So you only traveled with her in 2022 and 2023?
2022 and 2023 is what I recall.
That's what you recall?
Yes.
Okay. So you just don't remember if you traveled with her in 2021?
2022 and 2023 is what I recall.
All right, so you're taking a live listen to a hearing to disqualify potentially the district attorney in Georgia's Trump election interference case. However, he is now speaking in New York City for another trial. So let's take a listen into that.
Of Washington. They're coordinated with the district attorney and the AG. The case tomorrow, which is a rigged deal, is all coordinated with the district attorney, and it's coordinated with the Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, who ought to be ashamed of herself. She's campaigned for years of trying to get Trump without knowing anything about me. It's all a rigged. It's a rigged state. It's a rigged city. It's a shame. What they ought to do is go out and take care of the violent crime and the migrant crime that's destroying people and killing people. Not a case that everybody says, you take a look at the legal documents and the legal scholars writing about this. They say there's no crime. This is no crime. But outside, right outside their courthouse, this courthouse, people are being murdered. So it's a very unfair situation. They want to keep me nice and busy so I can't campaign so hard. But maybe we won't have to campaign so hard because the other side is incompetent. The other side's done a horrible job running this country. They've done a horrible job at the border. You take a look at New York with the hundreds of thousands of people pouring in from other countries all over the world. You just take a look at what's happening. And I'm going to have to sit here for months on a trial. I think it's ridiculous. It's unfair. A trial that legal scholars say there's no crime. They say there's no crime. Now, somebody asked a question about NATO before. All I can say is this. NATO countries have to pay up. They have to pay their bills. The United States is in for $200 billion, and they're in for $25 billion. The economy, as you know, their economy, when you add them up, add up the countries that make up NATO, it's about the same size as our economy. So we're in for $200 billion, they're in for $25 billion, and it's much more important to them because we have an ocean in between. It's a much different thing. So the NATO countries have to pay up. They're not paying up, they're not paying what they should, and they laugh at the stupidity of the United States of America, where we have a guy that gives $60 billion every time somebody comes and asks for it. We shouldn't be doing that. They're laughing at us. They think we're the stupid country because of our leadership. But as far as this is concerned, it's election interference by Biden because it's the only way he can think to get elected because he's accomplished nothing. But I'm honored to sit here. I'm honored to sit here day after day after day on something that everybody says, the greatest legal scholars say, it's not even a crime. Thank you very much.
How do you plan on campaigning while you're in court, sir?
I'll do it in the evening.
Are you coming back tomorrow for the verdict?
So you were just hearing from former President Donald Trump speaking after his hush money hearing in New York City. A judge in that hearing decided that his first criminal trial will begin next month. Jury selection will begin on March 25th. Trump saying in part of his statements that this trial is ridiculous and a waste of time. Now, all of this is stemming from alleged payments of hush money during Trump's first White House campaign in 2016. The indictment centering on allegations that Trump paid money to bury allegations of extramarital affairs that came up during his first White House campaign. His then personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, allegedly paying two women or one woman, Stormy Daniels, an amount of money, and then arranging for the publisher of the National Enquirer to pay the second woman some additional money. So again, the judge ruling that, yes, Trump's first criminal trial will begin next month. Jury selection starting on March 25th. We are going to step away for our first 2-minute break here on Live Now from Fox. Time right now is 11:14 Eastern, 8:14 Pacific. I'm Stephanie Quinu. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. We're going to go back to a Georgia courtroom as we are taking a listen to a hearing during which a Georgia judge will decide whether to toss Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis off of the state's election interference case against former President Donald Trump. On the stand right now is Nathan Wade, the special prosecutor in the Trump case, and he allegedly has a personal relationship with Fani Willis. He's taking to the stand now to continue his testimony. Let's listen in.
No relationship or receipts.
I'm not asking about during the course of your marriage.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask the witness to be allowed to answer the question.
Continue. I have no problem with him answering.
Okay. As it relates to receipts today, I don't have any receipts, ma'am.
So you don't have any travel receipts available to you for any travel that you did with Ms. Willis?
I don't have any receipts, no, ma'am.
No receipts that, so you used your business credit card for these trips, correct?
I use my business credit card for everything.
Okay, yes. You used it for your kids' tuition?
Yes, ma'am.
Used it for personal travel with Ms. Willis?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have receipts from those business credit cards that you have to file with your taxes, correct?
No, ma'am.
No.
I filed a statement. I turn over the statement, and whatever is there on the statement, the accountant looks at it, and the accountant says, okay, this is personal, goes over here, this is business, goes over here, here are your taxes.
So you have those statements. We'll call them statements instead of receipts. You have those statements, correct?
I have the statements, yes, ma'am.
Okay. But when you answered the interrogatory under oath, you said you did not have anything to show the records of travel with Ms. Willis.
I answered the question. I had no receipts, ma'am.
You had no receipts, but you had statements.
I ordered the statement, yes, ma'am.
You did order the statement.
I did.
Okay. And so we're just talking to semantics between invoice and statements, or receipt, I'm sorry.
I'm going to object, Your Honor, to the argumentative tone of the question. I believe it's been asked and answered several times.
All right, sustain.
Let's see. You also in this affidavit said that no funds paid to you for compensation as your role as special counsel was shared with Willis, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And that you never cohabitated with Willis, correct?
That's correct.
By cohabitation, does that mean that you never spent the night with Willis?
I spent the night with her during
Spent the
travel.
night.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so I just want to qualify your use of the term cohabitation. That means you didn't live together.
That's correct.
But you did spend the night together.
Yes.
When was the first time you spent the night together?
Your Honor,
That's the subject of his affidavit, Judge.
Right, but it might not be the subject of this hearing. So the question is the nature and extent of the relationship. And so if they just spent the night on a single occasion, I don't think we're going to document in detail every single time that happened.
And I don't intend to do that, Judge, but I think what is relevant is when the relationship started, and that's what you had indicated on.
Well, why don't we start with that question and go from there?
to that question.
And that's what I asked, when the first time he spent the night with her was. That's what I asked.
That's a different question, isn't it?
Okay, so let's not talk about when you spent the night. When did your romantic relationship with Miss Willis begin?
2022.
When? In 2022.
Early 2022.
So you were appointed in November of 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
And your relationship started early. What's early? January? February?
Around March.
Around March. But you two met at an October 2019 judicial conference, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And describe your relationship at that point then.
Which point?
2019.
So I was at a judicial conference to teach a course, if you will, to newer judges. I did that in 2019. As I was exiting the conference, another judge was standing outside who was a friend of mine. I stopped and exchanged pleasantries with her. And standing talking to her at the time was then Judge Willis. She introduced us at that time. We shook hands, exchanged business cards, and I got into my vehicle and left the conference. So that meeting was probably 3 minutes.
Okay. When was the next time you talked to her?
Didn't talk to her again probably maybe a month or a month and a half had gone by.
Okay. So you talked to her November maybe?
Maybe.
On the phone?
On the phone.
Okay. How regularly did you speak with her in 2021 on the phone?
In 2021?
I'm sorry, 2019. I'm so sorry. 2019. How frequently did you speak with her on the phone?
2019, after the meeting, I probably talked to her 2 or 3 times. She would have questions. I was the district rep for the particular district that I sat in.
Okay.
And the judges would, when they would have questions, they sometimes would go to the rep. So she was outside of my district, but she would call me. She felt comfortable calling me to ask me the questions. I don't know if you know the racial makeup of certain benches, but it wasn't very diverse. So she felt comfortable calling me for advice. And she did that. And we had also in common that she was starting a private law practice at the time, and I'd already had mine up and going, and we talked about balancing the demands of the bench with that private practice. So we didn't talk that often, but when she had questions, mostly legal issues that would come up, she would call me.
I just want to make sure, because my question was just how many times, and you said 2 to 3 times, right? Okay. And in 2022, how frequently did you speak in 2022? This is before you were appointed.
I'm sorry, perhaps Ms. Merchant's your timeline, 2022?
I'm sorry, 2020. 2020. How frequently did you speak in 2020?
2020, it was more frequent than 19, obviously, but
More frequent. Can you tell me approximately a month how often you think you spoke with her on the phone?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the granular detail. I think Mr. Wade can certainly answer however he wants to, but if we're going to go through every time they spoke on the phone as opposed to generally characterizing the relationship, it would be more detailed than is necessary.
Judge, I'm not going to go through every time they spoke on the phone. I'm asking for generally.
All right, we are continuing to listen in as Nathan Wade is taking to the stand again. He is the special prosecutor in the Trump case when it regards to the state election interference in Georgia. He is answering questions about his personal relationship with Fani Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney. Georgia judge is deciding whether to toss Fani Willis off of this case because of her relationship with Nathan Wade. We are going to step away for 2 minutes here on